Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the tavern for a very early episode of Bardic Blunders. I'm Spencer,
And I'm Eli.
and today we are going to talk about the main subject is going to be a new RPG that is going to be released by MCDM, which, if you don't know, is Matt Colville's company. They've released a couple of supplemental books for D&D 5e, Flea Mortals and Strongholds and Followers. So they're actually making their own RPG now, and they've got the. Is it Kickstarter or is it?
It's back it. They
Okay,
moved
back
away
it.
from Kickstarter because of something. I don't know
Well,
what happened, but a lot of people did.
Kickstarter was well known for a lot of scams, so it's not really trusted anymore.
So
Um,
yeah, MCDM has done Flea Mortals, Kingdoms and Warfare, Strongholds and
that's the one I
Followers. They
forgot.
did the uh, digital magazine Arcadia for 2 years.
And then they released specific classes. Um,
They have a few classes that they have made, but
the Illrigger, the
Macroville,
Talent. I can't remember the other one, but anyways,
Illrigger, the talent, and something else. I'm up on their webpage right now, so I'm trying to. But oh, they've also done Where Evil Lives. There's a whole lot of stuff
oh yeah,
that they've done. The Beast Heart
as your 100
is
subscriber, you owe me $9,000 in legal fees. Gore, you are actually not my 100 subscriber. I know you made the second account to subscribe to me, but it it actually went back down to 99 after you did that. Somebody unsubscribed. I went back down to 99. Now I'm at 101. So, we're good. But anyways,
so MCDM is Matt Coville, the founder of it, is most known for um, being a doing this series on YouTube called "How to Run Your Game,"
yeah,
where he
running the
teaches
game.
running the game, where he teaches new players and new DMs how. Sorry, I'm burping. How to be a DM, and that's where I learned how to DM, and that's where I
Same,
sent you to learn how to
same here.
DM.
He is very a very intelligent dungeon master. Like he knows what he's talking about.
And he's like old school fantasy nerd. So
Right. He's been playing since advanced, right?
I believe so. I He did a video on it, but I it's been a few years since that video came out because that was like freshman year of our high school. So
Oh gosh, 10 years
10 years
ago.
ago.
That's gross. I hate that.
And I remember when his channel had like maybe 100 subscribers to it, and I was just like popping in and like, oh man, this guy knows what he's talking about. I want to learn from him.
And now he's got like 300K.
But they are doing. Th Matt Coville explains it better. He has a whole page on it where he has a whole video. It's like an hour-long video where he talks about how the game works, and it's honestly it was something that I watched and went. This would have been a perfect intermediate between fourth edition and fifth edition.
Right. I liked the sound of have a good day, Gore. Thanks for popping in. I liked the sound of the way the combat works, where rather than you slowly start running out of things by the end of combat, like happens in D&D, you kind of build up this head of steam, and combat gets more interesting as it goes on. Because that's always been a fight for me, making my encounters for you guys, is making them stay interesting. And so I have to invent all these combat tricks. For example, we'll throw out Belial. Belial, I think, is my favorite fight that I set up for you guys. I feel like it's the best one, unless you think differently. Um, I liked the fire. So basically, he started off with a big fire hurricane that covered the entire arena. So it was just flames swirling around. And you had to choose whether you're going to try and brace yourself. You would take more damage and you'd have disadvantage on attacks. Or if you'd get pushed, it might move you out of position. You'll take less damage, though, and you'll be able to hit. You'll not have disadvantage on attacks. So he started off with that. And so everyone's getting dinged with fire damage at the start of their turn and moved around and whatever. So they have to find a way to maneuver through it. And then halfway, once he hits half health, that drops and every single one of his spells is at maximum damage. And it was, I think I did a pretty decent job of setting it up and making it so there was never a point where it's like, oh, well, I just ran out of everything and now everything's moving slow and, But you have to fight with that with every encounter to make it stay interesting. And if you're getting more abilities as combat goes on, you're not going to have that same slog that can happen. And you're not going to have to be constantly fighting that war.
So one of the big things that I looked at when I was listening to it was like, it's a very high risk versus reward game that you're playing. And that's one of those things that I love, this game of how much do you want to risk versus how much you'll be rewarded for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, you get these victories, but between rests, you lose your victories, but victories give you stuff. But at the same time, you're taking damage, and you're losing rest, so you can't heal as much, you don't have as many spell slots, and I'm sitting there going, that is amazing. But that wasn't the thing that, like, hooked me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was the character creation that I went, hold on.
That
As somebody who wants to design games and do stuff like this, I was like, that made more sense than anything else I've ever heard.
You want to know what my immediate thought was? So when you're explaining D&D to somebody who's never played D&D before, and it's like, people like to make comparisons. I think it's a natural thing. Most people will compare to something they understand. And, when you're describing D&D to somebody, you can't just be like, "Oh, have you played Skyrim? Have you played Oblivion? Have you played Fallout? Have you played any of these RPGs?" And it's like you have to explain D&D and how D&D works. With the way they were setting it up, it seriously feels like you can just go, "Have you played Skyrim or Oblivion?" You're going to understand how this works. Yes, there's adjustments because it's not a video game, it's a tabletop game, but the way the characters are set up and the way they have to interact with each other and the way the turn order works, like, it all feels very typical RPG for, like, video game RPGs, and it feels like that's going to be a lot easier for other people to adopt.
Yeah, I was like, the way he explained, like, how kits work with classes, I was like, yo, this is interesting. This gets my mind going, and, like, each kit has a special ability, and each class gets special abilities. I'm like, oh, man, I understand this.
Right.
And how the initiative worked, I was like, that's brilliant.
Oh, man. So the way the initiative works in theirs is, did he say exactly how it's determined who goes first? The monsters or the heroes? Heroes go first. It is heroes go first.
believe, unless there's something that says otherwise.
Because
A monster ability.
I thought he said that that they haven't determined how to do that yet. That it's not just going to be some arbitrary roll. But
Yeah, I think I would honestly say heroes getting to go first would make the most sense. Or if you're surprised, the monsters get to go first.
yeah. But basically,
Whoever initiates combat goes first.
That-
Something in those lines.
that would make sense. The one who initiates combat goes first. That's very Persona-esque. So it's either the heroes go first or the monsters go first. And so say the heroes go first. The way it works is all the heroes will get together and say, okay, which one of us should go? And if it's like, well, I can do this, and it's like, okay, you should go. That person takes their turn. Then one of the monsters takes their turn. And then it's back to the group of monsters, however, based on the strength. But then it's back to the hero's turn, and from the people who have not taken a turn yet, then they select the next person. So you actually have to know how your teammates work. You have to decide what would be the best way to go, like who should go in what order. And, you know, you might have somebody that's like, well, I have this really cool thing that I can do, but it's going to be really cool no matter when I do it. And then somebody else might say, I need to go right now. And everyone would understand why that's the case. So I think that works so much better because you get into the theme of D&D where it's like this last campaign, my last campaign, we knew in every combat Justin was going first because he was a Gloomstalker with the alert feat. He had like a plus 12 to initiative. I don't think after he had that level, there might have been one combat for the entire rest of the campaign, which was almost a full year that he wasn't first. Every other time he was first without fail. The only one that came close was the final boss, who only missed him by like 1 or 2. But other than that, he was consistently in the 30s for initiative. And you, playing a sorcerer, with what?
Always last.
Yeah, you had 1 initiative? Or 0? Was it?
I can pull up the character sheet right now, but I'm pretty sure I think it was 1, maybe 2.
But, I mean, the point stands right there. It's like, well, our sorcerer or wizard is always going last. It's never going to end up... So, it does kind of get to the point where it's like, well, I feel like a sitting duck until I can take my turn. And by the time it gets there, I might not have a good turn to take. But if all the bad guys start grouped up, then it's like, yeah, let this guy go first. He can nuke all of them because they're all standing right next to each other. Like, I like the way that works. And I might even consider trying that for D&D.
No joke, man. I was like, I really want to try that.
And because I want to play this... I want to play his RPG when it comes out, but we don't know when that is going to be because it's still. I mean, I think it blew the goal out of the water, didn't it?
I can pull up the backing right now, but from the last thing I saw, they were asking for 800,000, and they were at 2.8 million.
Yeah, they obliterated it. It was not like no shot that. I didn't think they were going to miss it, but...
Oh, not at all, but...
Yeah, check out the campaign. Let's see. Yeah, I was just...
They are at 2.85 million.
2.85 million, with 25 days left. Ends on January 5th. The Beast Heart, that was the other one. Okay.
Which is just ranger, but you get monstrous things as your... You can take monsters as your animal companion.
Right. But...
Dope.
Oh, yeah. I strongly encourage anyone who is interested, who plays D&D, who plays any other RPG like Pathfinder, to go and watch his video. You don't have to go and watch all the videos, because he has videos where he goes into specifics about some of the classes, because they made them originally for 5e. So he has videos if you want to hear more about the specific classes, but I strongly encourage you to go watch this most recent video of his, because I mean, it's seriously, this might change the game when it comes to RPGs. And for so long, there's been no competitors with D&D. Like Pathfinder.
But Pathfinder was always viewed as second fiddle.
Well, and Pathfinder, from people who haven't played it and who have played D&D, is just looks at it and they're like, oh, that's the weird, more complicated one. Or that one's different. I don't want to play it. And especially with how D&D has exploded into the mainstream, and Pathfinder's still like, I didn't know about Pathfinder until after I started D&D.
It's actually really funny because my D&D setting, my D&D world, I've said this multiple times. It started off as a Pathfinder game.
Yeah, it was made in Pathfinder.
Those were the only books I could get a hold of.
Right.
Then D&D 5th edition came out, and I just was like, oh, let me port everything to D&D 5e. So there's like janky combats and janky little bits that I'm like, yeah, this doesn't work that well for what D&D wants to do, but it makes sense for the campaign.
Right. And that's what I think, that's why I've been experimenting with so many different things. Like, I tried to, in the first campaign, another tip from Matt Coville, is implement 4th edition abilities. So, like, your first character, who's Ronan, had earned abilities from completing these feats and completing these individual, like, personal quests. And, like, there was one point you gained the ability to move your allies in combat. So if they were in trouble, you could basically just pick them up and pull them away without them taking an attack of opportunity. You also got to the point where you could drag an enemy, so just walk up and grapple an enemy and drag them by, and it allowed an attack of opportunity from any allies that were nearby. So
yeah, and you could use that to get allies out of danger, or hey, look, our barbarians over here. I'm gonna go deposit this by him.
Right. Exactly. And it worked for your character, for the fighter. Nobody else used theirs. I gave them to the barbarian. I gave one to the rogue. You know, like, nobody was using them. And I'm like, okay. I kind of dropped it after a while, since nobody was wanting to use it. I've thought about trying to bring those back for this current campaign, and I'm hoping people will actually use it, especially since I'm being more difficult on you guys. But it kind of... D&D combat is just... It works, and there's a reason it's popular. If it didn't work, people wouldn't play it. But it can get kind of like clunky, yeah, and very, especially like if you're a fighter or a barbarian, it's like first turn of combat, I rage. It's like, okay, all right, next turn.
I swing my sword.
Yeah, I swing my sword. I hit this much. All right, next person. And then the spellcasters sit there and go, which spell do I want to cast? And they're just flipping through the spell book trying to figure out what they want to use. And it's like, spellcasters' turns are very slow, but they get to do a lot of cool things. Martial classes' turns are very quick, but it's, I hit this guy. So I really appreciate the effort to change that, because... Again, like, I don't think it's bad, but I mean, it goes along like he's Coville has talked about in a lot of his videos, picking things from other editions of D&D or other RPGs to spice up combat, and using things like monsters had certain abilities in 4E that they don't have in 5E. Like, that's where I got the, oh, Belial drops to half health and now all of his spells do max damage. That, you know, it's these augments to monsters that they didn't put in 5E for some reason that work very well in making the combat more interesting, because it can completely change the way combat is working. And the same thing with those player abilities. Like, yeah, the fighter could just swing his sword, but now he also has the option to help his ally, drag one of his allies out of danger, to move the battlefield around the way he wants it. You know, the barbarian could have the opportunity. I don't remember specifically what I gave him, but these different characters get opportunities to do something more interesting with their turn than just, oh, I hit him. All right, that's my turn.
Yeah, there's only like one bit that I was kind of like questioning. And that was the 10 level thing. But when he explained it, it made sense.
Right. So that's the next thing he explained is, instead of a 20th level capstone like there is in D&D, or 12th in Baldur's Gate, it's 10th level. But you're starting out already as like a hero. You're not just a nobody. So level 1 in this RPG is going to be like level 3 in D&D.
Yeah.
With the capstone being similar to level 20. They just condensed it. And I do like that idea. At first, I had the same thought. When you told me that max level was 10th level, I was like, really? Why? And then watching the video and him explaining it, I'm like, oh, that does make
It
sense.
also makes every level you get something cool.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can get behind that.
Because, oh, yeah, 100%. There are so many levels.
There's so many dead levels.
With every class has a dead level. Like, for spellcasters, it's a level where you don't get any extra abilities and you don't get any extra spells. It's like, all right.
Get another spell slot, and it's like,
cool. Yeah,
gonna do so much with this.
Cool. I can cast one extra spell per day, and I have slightly more health, but
6 more hit points.
yeah, right. I'm only slightly less killable.
I still go down to 1 hit.
But yeah, condensing it and making sure that you're getting something every level makes every level up more rewarding. And I really like that idea.
How he was putting it, that it's like each 10 level span should take 1.5 to 2 years. I was like, man, for playing once a week, if you're doing it every other week, that's gonna take almost 3 years of your time. That wouldn't be that crazy, you know? It's like, that's lining up right with a normal out-of-the-book D&D campaign.
Right. Well, and I mean, I even accelerated your guys in my last campaign, and you guys made it all the way up to 18, I think. Yeah. And that campaign was 1.5 years. And there were stretches of time when it was only my campaign.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't hate that idea. And I also like the idea of, because condensing it and making it easier to get to the higher levels, it does feel kind of pointless a lot of times in D&D. It's like, well, cool, I have this character, and I'm most likely not going to get to see past 10th level. There's a good chance I die, or the whole party dies and the campaign ends. So it was even a miracle that you guys got to level 18, and it's kind of because I wanted you guys to get that high, but I could have taken it a lot harder on you, and uh,
I
and
mean, look at my current campaign. You guys, we're testing out the experience leveling to show the newer players to the party how that works. I like to do that. I like to teach newer players how different things work.
right,
So it was like, okay, it's going to be a lot slower than it used to be. You guys are going to have to think like, okay, well, we're only level 2. Should we really be fighting this thing?
exactly, yeah. And I like that idea, and that's what I'm trying to get across in my campaign. And I'm there's some work that I need to do, uh, because I'm gonna have such an emphasis on traveling. Um, but I want you guys to be able to go somewhere and be like, oh shoot, we don't stand a chance here. We need to leave.
Yeah,
Like,
sorry. I just got a really funny email and I'm giggling about it.
what?
It's from one of my bosses.
Oh, okay. But
But
that's
yeah.
I'm attempting to convey that. Uh,
I
and
also really like the idea that you could probably take a lot of what they're putting out because yes, it's made for fantasy, but if we did some tweaking, we could make it sci-fi, we could make it dystopian,
and
we could make it
and he mentioned that.
anything. Yeah, it's like it's got me thinking like, okay, I want to start getting some of the preview stuff on it because I backed it. I'm going to be honest, I spent the money. I backed it. I got the PDF version, so as soon as I get it, I will be showing it to everyone, seeing how you guys feel about it.
Yeah. I don't have the money to back it right now.
Oh, dude, I get it. I had just gotten paid that day, so I was like, ooh, back.
Yeah, I haven't gotten paid from being back at work yet, so because
Ooh.
I'm every 2 weeks, so bi-weekly payments, they suck. I mean, I'm getting paid the same either way, I guess. It's just in between when you're getting paid, it does kind of suck.
Yeah. That's why I like my weekly pay. But because it was really funny. Somebody asked me about it at work because they saw a very short clip from that video done by an ad service on YouTube. Like I don't, it's like cardboard sponsorship or something. I don't even remember what it was.
Okay.
But they have ads going out for for the backing of that now. And I don't know if they paid for that or if that's just somebody going, "Hey, you should back this."
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they saw it and they were like, "Oh, Eli knows something about this." And they just came up and started asking me about it. I'm like, "Yeah, I know all about this." And I started explaining it and they're like, "Oh, yo, that's dope. Maybe I'll get into being more of a nerd." And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm creating monsters." They've put their toes in, and now the gremlin's coming to get them.
You've dipped your toe in. It's the beginning of the end.
I got a voicemail. Okay, trying to figure out what's wrong with my phone. It keeps like sending me push notifications and then not notifying me of anything.
But Yeah, definitely. I love the concept for the RPG, and I I really want it to do well. I really do. I love D&D, but if there's something that's gonna fix the flaws of D&D, I wouldn't be against that.
That was the other thing about this campaign that I went 100%. If this was the only concept you guys were looking at putting into a D&D thing, I would have backed it. It was um, the patience versus interest scale for NPCs.
Hmm.
And that, as soon as he said it, I was like, that makes perfect sense. I don't know why I haven't thought of that yet.
Oh, dude, that is what made me think of the comparison to Oblivion. Because
Yeah,
I don't know if have you played Oblivion?
I have not.
Uh, so it works a little bit differently than Skyrim. So you know, in Skyrim, it's just like you have speech options. You just have the little
Yeah.
Oblivion. It kind of gives you a vague thing. So you get this little meter. It's a circular meter, and it tells you what they will and won't like you to say. And you can do it to bribe them. You can do it to convince them to give you information and everything. But it's like you have to understand the character you're talking to, because there are some characters that if you joke with them a lot, they'll absolutely love you. But there are other characters that are super serious, and you're never supposed to tell a joke. Like you get joking
Yeah.
will immediately get you knocked a bar down, and they won't want to talk to you anymore.
It was funny because I saw that and I'm like, I can't really do like meters in front of my player, in front of you guys, because that makes no sense. But what I can do is take D6s and it's like, okay, their patience is at a 6. They're a very patient person, but their interest is 1. You have
Right.
to increase their interest to something that I'm not going to tell you before their patience runs out.
Right. And then if you're talking with a exceptionally difficult conversation, their patience is at a 1, and maybe you have to get their interest all the way to a 6.
Yeah, and it's like, can you keep their interest more than their patience? Because like, if you say the wrong thing, enough conversation's over, go away.
Or even worse, conversations over, combat.
Yeah.
But there could also be ways of raising their patience and making them like, okay. And they'll be like, all right. They'll calm down a little bit. They'll be a little bit more lenient with whatever you say.
Mm-hmm.
And it really
Getting more
makes you
messages.
have to think about what you're going to say.
And it makes everyone able to participate in talking. You don't have one person that does all of the talking.
Oh, yeah, they're the high charisma person. They talk. 'Cause that is exactly what just happened in your last session.
Yeah, that was actually really funny because it was like no one had charisma, so it's like, who has the better charisma? Okay, you're doing the talking.
Yeah, and for me, it's like I have negative charisma. I'm a wizard. I didn't need charisma, so that's what I dumped. And
Yeah.
it's
But
like
like
I
that is
can't talk.
such I was like, this is brilliant. I love that concept. I love the idea of the kit bashing, like being able to take a wizard and making them like more frontliney.
Oh yeah,
Um,
dude.
that's cool to me.
Immediately the first when he was explaining the few classes he did, the one that I was immediately like, I want to play that was the Fury. Their equivalent to the
Oh,
Barbarian. I
dude.
immediately I was like, the Shadow sounds cool, and so does the Tactician. But oh man, immediately I was like, Fury, that's me. That's the one I want to play.
And I really like how that he explained how the Fury balances because they can spend their points, their stress points, to do cool things, or you can save them to get buffs. And it's like, yo,
It
that's brilliant.
Oh, who was it? It reminded me of a League character, as stupid as it's gonna sound. Who was it? Uh, where you get stacks of something, and uh, I don't know if it's even a specific League character, but like you get stacks, and you can expend those stacks to deal more damage. And it's like the more stacks you have, the better your ability is going to
Oh,
be.
Draven.
Draven! It is Draven! Okay, yeah. So it's like you get stacks from dealing damage and from getting kills, but you lose stacks from dying. So it's like
And your stacks replenish once you kill someone. So
yes, that's right.
it makes you want to keep going and testing your limits in fights. Risk versus reward, I love it.
Yeah, that's right.
That
You
is,
you cash in whenever you get a kill. Yeah,
yeah, which gets you extra stuff.
it,
And I'm
it
like,
absolutely. It reminded me of that immediately. I was like, that sounds like a League character, but I couldn't remember who.
I also really like their idea for, hey, let's do spellcasters differently, and I like the psionic. I love
The
psionic characters
psionic,
like this.
the cleric adjacent. What was that one called?
Oh,
The sentry?
uh,
No,
the
no.
Sentinel?
No, I don't
He,
think it was the sentinel either. Hold on. I think he's got it on the backing page.
we immediately start running for it.
Yep, right. Uh, skip to a section. Already in testing. Let's see.
Da-da-da-da-da.
I'm not finding it on the page. I thought it would be here.
Oh, and I do like how they've kind of split the kits. So you have Marshall and um Spellcaster.
Right.
Oh, that's an amazing photo. I love that photo.
Shoot, I guess he's only got it
Video.
in the video, yeah.
He also has a kitty cat on his page.
But yeah, it was the cleric adjacent, and you use your prayer to get virtue, or what was the name of the other
The,
one?
Virtue and Vengeance, I think.
Something like that, yeah. Uh,
Retribution.
retribution, maybe. I can't
I
remember.
think that's it.
But and basically, virtue powers up your defensive spells, and the other one powers up your offensive spells.
Yeah.
Which, like, that too, that was like, okay, that's right there with the Fury, where it's like, I want to play that. But you know me,
And
I
I
love
like the
clerics.
shadow being like when he was explaining the shadow, and it's all about like you're the rogue, but you're not the rogue. You don't have to play the rogue character. You
Right.
can be like the gunslinger or
Well, and
this or
they are the glass cannon, and I know who's gonna play that.
oh yeah, Justin.
Yeah, 100%. But I just everything about it is so interesting, and I can't wait. I can't wait to play it. Um, but I I I mean, I love D&D. We both love D&D. We just did a whole. I think our last episode was all about D&D, wasn't it?
No, last episode was our GTA 6 and
Oh, yeah, yeah,
two
yeah,
of
that's
Halo.
right. Yeah, we ended it by answering somebody's question about D&D. Um that's what it was. So, obviously D&D is fun, and even it's not like if this RPG isn't great that it's like, well, we're just going to stop D&D entirely cuz we were hoping for this RPG to be good and it wasn't. And I also don't think that it will necessarily be a case of like, oh, this RPG is 100% replacing D&D. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's nice to, like, I could see it being nice to have somebody running a campaign in this RPG. They don't have a name for it right now, but somebody running a
It's
campaign in this and somebody running a campaign in D&D. So you get something
yeah.
different each week.
I I am 100% honest with you, man. This will not replace D&D because it's a different kind of game than D&D.
Right. We still have yet to play the Avatar.
Yeah, there is also that one.
And I've got all the hardcover books for that. I was like, that one I was like, yeah, I'm spending the money on this one. But also the
Hey,
hardcover books for that one was 90 and the hardcover books for this one is like 200 something.
yeah. I gotta take a phone call real quick. I'll be right back.
All right.
But keep them entertained.
I can't do that. Oh gosh. What do I do? I'm alone. I have no idea.
Wait, Jesse, do you want to hop on and talk on the podcast? Wait, I have a special guest for you.
Oh, all right. Cool.
Hello.
Hi.
Talk-
Hi, Spencer.
How's it going?
It's good. Congratulations on 101.
Thank you. I, like the Dalmatians. Um,
Like the Dalmatians. Are we gonna make a fur coat?
I maybe that's what I do
Gross.
for 100 subscribers. I just make a giant fur coat. I've been making a
And get
video
in.
for every 10 subscribers, and I have no idea what to do because it was like less than a week between the time I hit 90 and 100.
You should just like do one where you're just staring at like a computer. Like, if it keeps going up like this, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
That's
10
kind of what
minutes of
my
staring
90
at a computer.
was.
Like, make like a lo-fi type thing. Like, you know the lo-fi girls, and just stare at your
Oh,
computer. And just
yeah.
with a smug expression, like, I did that.
Find a camera angle where I'm like sitting at my computer and like tapping a pencil on the desk, and then
And
use a
every 10
neon.
that goes up, you look at the camera and you just find out that you're being recorded the entire time. It's like a stalking scenario.
Yeah, the camera's like out my window.
Ugh, that'd be
Oh
funny.
boy. But this everyone, this is Eli's sister. Uh we were talking about the new, did Eli tell you about the new Matt Coville RPG that they're coming out with?
No, he doesn't talk to me. He doesn't like me.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Uh it's basically they're trying to change up the way the D&D and Pathfinder formula work, and I think it's really interesting. Um I think it's gonna make combat's the big thing, is like, oh well,
Well,
combat's
see, he doesn't like me talking.
Sorry,
uh
I'm back.
We were talking about combat.
I was just gonna tell her about the combat for the
Oh,
thing.
I'll send her the
I was
video.
gonna say, send her the video because I think anybody who plays D&D is gonna like the way this runs.
It also means, I hate to say this, but we could easily do like solo campaigns in this, just like one-on-one campaigns.
Yeah. I should have told Jess what I was gonna throw at you guys this week in D&D.
That's
That's what I should have done. I just don't want to put that on YouTube just so none of you can come and find out what's happening. So I always record the campaign diaries and wait until like the week after to upload them. Which I will say, for the time being, I won't be doing campaign diaries as frequently because we're kind of alternating weeks with mine and Eli's campaign. So my campaign diaries will be a lot more few and far between than, weekly like I was before. I do need to record the one for the second and third sessions now. Well, third session, because
third session's Wednesday, bud.
this isn't. No, last.
Oh no, that's the fourth.
This
wow,
is fourth
I'm
session.
I'm all.
Yes, I was gonna say, because we didn't have a session 0. We started on the ship, and you guys navigated the city. And this past one, you left to where a lot of the survivors were located at. So we're in session 4 now. So which I uploaded the first 2 back to back weeks because we ran my campaign back to back weeks, and then you started yours. I'm like, well, crap. This ain't gonna work. So basically, I'm still gonna try and keep to uploading them on Mondays. It'll just be a lot more, a lot more time. Oh, that's what I was thinking. So I haven't recorded the one for the second session. It's because I did the kind of pre-campaign one where I broke everything down and how it was going to work. What the campaign was, who the characters were. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I put out 2 videos already, but it was like a campaign
You had a
introduction.
session 0 with the fans.
Yes, I had a session 0 with the fans. So I did the campaign introduction and then the first session. So I do have 2 campaign diaries to do. But
I mean, we really haven't done much, to be honest with you.
no, but you've done things worth talking about at the very least.
Well, not my character.
Yeah, you did. You freaking built a wall like Donald Trump.
And I'm making the zombies pay for it.
Exactly. Oh boy. But yeah, so I've gotta record those. Those shouldn't take too long. I've been taking about 10 minutes for each one of those. Those are fairly short videos. I should record one and set it to upload for tonight before. Well, it'll upload while I'm at work, but I could do that. Actually, I might do that right after Bardic Blunders. But yeah, I didn't really have any plans for something else to talk about other than the Matt Colville RPG.
Yeah. That was I brought that up. I was like, "Yo, we got to do a thing on this."
Oh yeah, absolutely. You were the one, because I saw that he'd released something. I was like, oh, I'll watch that in a bit. And then you were like, dude, you need to watch this. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, also, congratulations to Baldur's Gate and Larian Studios for winning Game of the Year.
Winning Game of the Year.
Spider-Man showed up and won nothing.
Yeah, right. Alan Wake 2 won a significant amount of awards.
Yeah, they did, and
which to me
congratulations
wasn't
to them.
Yeah, they did a very good job. Lethal Company will probably show up at next year's Game of the Year because it was for this year. It was too late this year, so it'll be counted for next year. And I would not be surprised. It will probably
have like 3 or 4 updates.
Oh yeah, dude! It already has. Have you seen the most recent update?
I have not.
He added some new things. I was doing solo runs the other day and picked up a few items that I hadn't seen before. And
Ooh, what did he add?
well, there's a homemade pipe bomb, not pipe bomb, flashbang. So you can just find in the level like a bottle.
It's 21 megabytes. I think the entire game is what, like 30 megabytes?
Yeah, it's a very small file size.
Oh! Dude, I thought that was a mod. I did see some stuff for this.
Yeah, and then it also some people were upset, but the when the little thing comes after you buy items, it's wrapped in Christmas lights with a star at the top, and it plays a Christmas song in the same sound font as the ice cream truck one. And a lot of people were like, "This is dumb and it's stupid and I hate it," and everyone else is like, "Dude,
oh,
it's."
They also added the spray paint can so we can mark off which ways we've already been.
Oh, I didn't find that. That's interesting.
There's also a nutcracker with a gun.
Hadn't seen that either. But
rail cheese has been nearly destroyed. Oh, okay. He made that. He got rid of that. And the forest giant is easier to avoid.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. Patch notes. Added chemistry flasks and dramatic masks, nutcrackers with guns, and spray paint cans for funds. Rail cheese has been nearly destroyed, but the forest giant is easier to avoid. Oh, he made it like a poem. Added to radar boosters the flash command, and the ship's new signal translator will be in great demand. Keybind settings are in, and I gave the item delivery ship a jolly spin. Gravity is more dangerous, but improved mansion map generations will be good for us. Arachnophobia mode will ease your fear, and I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
So I want to say this. I saw a photo of the arachnophobia mod, and I could not stop. I cried laughing.
Let me pull up a picture. Oh man, the arachnophobia thing is so funny.
I saw it and I just was crying. There were tears in my eyes as I was laughing, unable to breathe. Because how funny it was.
This is what the arachnophobia mode does. It just says spider.
It's so funny.
Oh
I love the cobweb with the spider behind it.
Oh, it's so great. Oh my gosh. We can actually get this for Justin now. He doesn't have to be scared from spiders anymore.
I know.
Because this is what the spider normally looks like.
That's not even that scary.
No, the spider. I'm not scared of spiders. Spiders don't bother me, but our friend has serious arachnophobia. But I need to tell him about that. He probably will get a kick out of that.
Oh, man. Oh, man. I also like that you can pick up the Nutcracker's gun if you beat him to death.
Wait, really?
Yes, and you get to run around with a shotgun. Also, apparently the radar booster is better now, which will make Finn really happy.
Yeah. I mean, I love this game. It's so good.
It is such a goofy game, and I love it.
I think it will be a tough job to beat it for Indie Game of the Year next year.
Yeah. They would have to put out something along the lines of like Stray to even come close. But it's probably going to absolutely crush the group play category. Hello?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I. Dude. I. I. It's weird because, like, I feel that the golden age of video gaming has died about 10 years ago with all, like, the Halo 3 to Halo Reach, the Call of Duty games back then with Blops.
Assassin's Creed was at its peak.
Yeah, I feel those games 10 years ago, the video game industry was unshakable. And now it's like we're relying on we're relying on indie game companies to hold us down.
I was gonna say
Because,
we're
like,
kind of in the wild west of video games right now,
yeah,
because it's the typical big name developers are catching a lot of flack because they're super greedy, they're not making quality games, and you get examples like, of course, Larian. Baldur's Gate 3 is absolutely phenomenal. Spider-Man
yes.
2 was good. Alan Wake 2 was great. You know, there isn't, it's not like every game is bad, but you have, for the Baldur's Gate 3, you have 15 EAs who are making the same sports game every year and still charging $60 for it. And it's an absolutely terrible product that people are still buying because it's the sports game. And
Yeah.
there are so many examples of that. Call of Duty is nothing but a microtransaction machine now. Halo is nothing but a microtransaction machine now. So many of these formerly big series have been reduced to just cash cows for the companies that make them. And we've talked about this before. We had an episode talking about indie gaming. Whenever people are making an indie game, they're putting their passion into it. They are the only ones that can restrict what they do. They make their own game, they put all their effort into it, they can make it do what they want, you know, and it is their passion project. When you have this massive company, even if the developers are like, this is what we want to do, we have this great idea, we're going to make this incredible game, the suits up at the top can say, no, that's not the way we want it to work, and everything falls apart. So, it's, I mean, Coville talked about this before. Coville was a game developer for Turtle Rock
Studio.
when they made Evolve. And there was another, I don't remember the war game. It wasn't Arma, I don't think. But he talked about it, how it was like there was a situation in this game they were making where the player needed to start the mission on one corner of the map and get to the other corner of the map. There was no way they could change that. That's the way the mission had to go. And so he suggested, let's just teleport them there. It's something that hadn't happened anywhere else in the game. Every other mission in the game, you're traveling to the location that you, from this time you start the mission, you travel to the next location. So the suits up top were like, well, that's what we have to do. We have to have a travel. We can't teleport them. That's not how, it's not how the game has worked up till now, so we can't change that. Well, they tried it. They tried to make it interesting. And so let's just fly there. Didn't really work because it's just a boring helicopter ride. Okay, let's put some enemies in the way. Oh, you put weak enemies in the way. Oh boy, cool. You're just wasting my time with trivial combat. You put difficult enemies in the way. Now you're pissed off every time you have to start this mission over because you have to fight these stupid enemies. So it was better to break that continuity and just teleport. And that's the thing that suits don't look at. They want the game to have they want a game to be uniform, and they want the game to do what they want the game to do, and they get in the way of what the developers can do. So
Yeah, it was Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction, and Mercenaries 2 World in Flames.
that's the one. Um, but that happens so often where the higher ups get in the way of the developers because they want the game to be a certain way and the developers can't make it that way, or it makes the game worse to make it that way. And that's why you have a lot of games that go into development hell that just sit there for years upon years and keep getting scrapped and rebuilt and scrapped and rebuilt. And then you have other games that it's like, we need this released by tomorrow, and so it gets rushed through development. You're breaking the backs of your developers trying to get this thing out, and it comes out terrible because they didn't have the time to work on it properly. And you just don't see that as much with indie games.
It's a passion, man.
And that's not necessarily saying every indie game is this incredible game that, you know, is going to work for everyone and everyone's going to love it.
Also, hi Alex. He is in our chat talking about video games, and
Yes, I did see that. Sorry, I was kind of ranting. How are you doing, Alex? But it you know, like I'll use an example. Choo Choo Charles. I didn't think Choo Choo Charles was a bad game. It had a lot of hype because the guy was. Did you not hear about this game?
No.
Oh, wow!
Oh,
I'm surprised.
This thing.
With the train, like the Thomas the Tank Engine that's evil and trying to kill you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad game, but it could have been better. And I tried to offer my constructive criticisms, and I got insulted on the internet because I didn't like the game. Like, you're just stupid because you don't like the game. I'm like, okay. There were flaws with it, and I think it was a good idea, and I don't think it was a bad game. I think there were just things about it that made it so I didn't really like it. One of which being the $20 price tag that came with it, because it was like 2 hours of game for $20, and it was not 2 incredible hours of game for $20, and it wasn't a game that I could replay 17 times, you know. So it was just like the price was my biggest gripe with it. I was like, if it had been a $10 game, if it had been a $5 game, I wouldn't have had an issue with it. Like, of course, I still would have had my criticisms, but it would have been like, well, it was only $5. But being a third of the price of a AAA game, it was a little too much. But that's just one example, because there's been plenty of indie games that have been absolutely unbelievably incredible. Undertale was a great game, and I know it kind of has this stigma around it now because of the fan base, but Undertale was great. Lethal Company was made by one dude. Like, oh my goodness, that's awesome. You know? So there's been plenty of incredible indie games, and so many promising developers that I've played the games of that, I mean, Terraria was an indie game. Stardew Valley was an indie game. Both of which I believe were made by one dude. So, Minecraft started as an indie game.
Yeah.
So it's like, indie gaming has delivered us so many incredible products because people care. The people making it care. And not to say the developers for AAA games don't care, but there's so many other factors that get in the way. You always have deadlines. You have suits telling you what to do. There's enough people there that you might have conflicting philosophies about how the game should work. And so, you know, there's just a lot of problems with the AAA gaming industry right now, and it was hilarious how Larian released Baldur's Gate 3 and the rest of the AAA, these big gaming companies were like, well, no, that's bad. And everyone's like, why is it bad? Oh, because now there's a standard. Like, we have to be held to that standard now. Our games can't just be the same thing we release every single year. Now we actually have to release a good game. And everybody's like, and that's bad how?
We should have been doing that from the beginning.
Exactly. Your goal should be to release a good game. You shouldn't be complaining that somebody released a good game and then all of a sudden it's like, well, uh-oh, now we have to do good too. Like, you should be performing to your standard without having to have somebody else come in and show you up before you do. And so, yeah, a little bit of a rant there right at the end, but
Burn it down. Let's destroy the gaming industry. Build it back up in our image. Balls.
Oh boy. But all right, I think that's all I have to say. If you've got anything else.
Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne, corn for the cornflakes.
Milk for the cornflakes.
No, you put corn in your cornflakes. That's
No,
the right way to do it.
That's disgusting. But jeez. All right. You got your quote?
God. Every time.
So I'll go first. At the end of the day, as long as there are two people left on the planet, someone is gonna want someone dead. That's from Team Fortress 2.
Oh. Okay. Hmm. Here we go. Sergeant Johnson, Halo 3. Send me out with a bang.
I almost did a Sergeant Johnson quote too. That would have been really funny. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching this early edition of Bardic Blunders, which this might have to be when it's done, because I'm working Tuesday nights now. So,
Yeah,
what he said. Tally ho!
Tally ho, bitches.